Imagine waking up in 1933. The Roaring Twenties party is a distant, painful memory, and the country has been locked in an economic basement for years. You are living in a nation where 1 in 4 people who want to work cannot find a job. Across America, 9,000 banks have collapsed, taking 9 million savings accounts and the life savings of entire families with them. If you have money left, you are likely stuffing it into your mattress because you no longer trust the marble buildings on the corner. The streets are lined with Hoovervilles, shantytowns made of scrap wood and cardboard where families huddle under Hoover blankets, which are just old newspapers used for warmth. Desperation has turned to radicalism. People are watching their government turn weapons on its own heroes, as seen when the army used tanks and tear gas against the bonus army of World War I veterans. America isn't just broke, it is broken. The question on everyone's mind isn't when the economy will grow, but whether the country can even survive. In March 1933, a new leader steps to the podium with a cigarette holder and a smile, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He delivers a line that serves as the country's first deep breath in years. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. FDR understands something crucial. The market wasn't just missing money, it was missing trust. To rebuild that trust, he pioneers the fireside chat. He uses the radio to speak to Americans like a neighbor, explaining complex banking reforms in simple terms. He tells people it is now safer to keep their money in a bank than under a mattress. He follows this up with the Emergency Banking Act, briefly closing all banks to ensure they are solvent before they can reopen. This psychological shift is the foundation of the New Deal, a massive, multi-pronged economic relief program designed to provide relief, recovery, and reform in equal measure. Roosevelt doesn't wait to act. Within weeks, he launches what critics call an alphabet soup of agencies. The goal is simple: put people to work and rebuild the national spirit. The Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, takes hundreds of thousands of young men in threadbare clothes and hands them shovels, sending them into the woods to plant trees and save the environment. Then comes the Works Progress Administration, WPA, which hires millions to build the very bones of modern America: roads, bridges, schools, post offices, and airports. They don't just build infrastructure, they rebuild pride. People who once stood in breadlines are now standing on scaffolding, lifting steel into the sky. In the South, the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, builds dams that bring electricity to whole towns that had lived in darkness for generations. For the first time, families can plug in a radio to hear the president tell them that they matter. FDR knows that providing jobs is only a temporary fix. He has to fix the machine so it doesn't break again. He introduces permanent reforms to stop Wall Street from acting like a casino. He creates the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, to provide better scrutiny and reporting on public companies. To protect the average citizen, he establishes the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, which guarantees that if your bank fails, the government will pay you back. Perhaps the most monumental change is the Social Security Act. It creates a safety net for the elderly, the disabled, and the unemployed, ensuring that a market crash doesn't mean immediate starvation. He also signs the Wagner Act, giving workers the legal right to unionize and fight for better wages. Even the arts are included. The Federal Arts Project pays photographers and writers to capture the soul of the nation, producing iconic images like Migrant Mother, which reminds the country that they are surviving together. While the New Deal restores normalcy, the recovery is not the same for everyone. Employment for women actually rises by 24% during the Depression, as single women flood into teaching, nursing, and domestic work to support themselves. However, the law still allows employers to pay women less than men for the exact same job. For Black Americans, the struggle is even harder. Discriminated against by local governments, they are often denied the same relief packages as white communities. Yet, a beacon of light emerges in the Black cabinet led by Mary McLeod Bethune. As a champion for equality, Bethune ensures that every New Deal agency has a Black advisor, and under her leadership, the number of African Americans working in government triples. Despite these strides, the economy remains shaky. By 1936, economist John Maynard Keynes argues that the government needs to spend even more aggressively, even if it means going into debt, to truly revive the economy. Roosevelt, however, remains concerned with balancing the books, and as a result, the Depression drags on into the late 1930s. Ultimately, the Great Depression does not end with a policy or a speech. It ends with the blast furnace of war. When World War II begins in 1939, the global landscape shifts overnight. The United States must suddenly become the arsenal of democracy, and the demand for tanks, planes, ships, and ammunition. Factories that were shuttered or running at half capacity suddenly begin running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Funds from abroad flow into the U.S. economy as foreign nations pay for equipment to fight the war. By 1941, the problem isn't finding jobs, it's finding enough workers. Everyone is either enlisted in the army or busy making bullets and bombs. It is only at this time that the unemployment rate finally falls below 10%. The Great Depression was a decade-long nightmare that proved how fragile our systems can be when built on debt and hype. It took the New Deal safety nets and the industrial mobilization of a world war to finally incinerate the poverty of the 1930s. We carry the lessons of this era today. Once you've seen the system collapse, you never look at a bank account the same way again.